Ever hear the story about the man who's staying at a hotel, passes a ballroom, and hears roaring laughter? So he slips inside to see what's happening. And he sees hundreds of people, and a man down on the other end yells out, 218, and everybody laughs. And then a woman yells out, 58, and everybody laughs. Understandably confused, he leans over to somebody standing next to him and admits he just slipped into the ballroom, but says, "What's going on here?" Person replies in whisper that this is an annual convention of stand-up comics, and every comic contributes one joke to their annual book that they print up. So everybody knows the number and the joke that goes with it. Goes, I see. And somebody else from far away yells out, 209. Everybody laughs. Another person yells out, 38. Everybody laughs. Then somebody on the far end yells out, 62. And nobody laughs. The man, again confused, leans over and says, "How come nobody laughed?" He says, "Well, some people just don't know how to tell a joke." What most people don't realize is that the primary goal of any advertising and marketing is to simply tell your story. In other words, tell the client's story. Tell the company's story. Tell the brand's story. The story can be a funny one. It can be a tearjerker.
Hi, I'm Caleb, and this is my story. I was born with osteogenesis imperfecta, or brittle bone disease. I have broken my bones almost 200 times.
Or it could be educational.
Hey, we can recycle those at the store now.
Really? So they can turn into other stuff?
Yeah.
But whatever style of marketing you choose, you're still going to be telling a story. Whether you're advertising on broadcast, print, or web, all formats still include the basic touchstones of any Hollywood movie, which is a beginning, a middle, and a conclusion. Now, in entertainment, like a book, a movie, or TV show, beginning, middle, and end might represent character introduction of the conflict, and then resolution of that conflict at the end. Most commercial advertising really isn't much different, although obviously very condensed. And instead of the goal being entertainment, the goal is to sell or brand a product. But commercials are entertaining, aren't they? Well, of course they are. But with commercials, the entertainment value is the vehicle for the message. Getting a whole story into a 15 to 20 second commercial or a quarter-page print ad isn't easy. It takes clearly identifying your core message and shaving everything down to that. And it takes a lot of practice. Many decades ago, a group of very famous authors would play a little game. When any of them would go away on a trip, they'd take a postcard and write an entire story on the back of it and mail it off to their friends. This practice got them really good at two things: at honing the core message down to just the most basic of elements. It also got them really good at writing very, very small to fit as much on the back of a postcard as they could. Let's take a look at how writing a complete story is accomplished by looking at two of the most famous TV commercials ever made. The first one we'll look at is the Citizen Kane of TV commercials, Apple's 1984. The first major TV commercial for the Apple Macintosh computer was both named after and based upon the story of George Orwell's book 1984. It was the story of an oppressive totalitarian government. Was the commercial great? Absolutely. Was it original? Not even a little bit. In fact, it was exactly the issue of it being so plagiarized a concept that made the commercials so great, because it was a very complex concept. The commercial was a full 1 minute long, which was common back then and almost unheard of today. But even with a full minute, it would have been very hard to convey the concept of both a totalitarian state, a David versus Goliath battle, and still have time to speak about your product. So the ad agency used visual shorthand by reproducing visuals that the public was already very familiar with. For example, the very first image in the commercial was lifted from the classic movie Metropolis, a 1927 film. So too were the images of the marching drone men and even the idea of a female heroine. The image of the maniacal leader comes from Metropolis as well, and also from the Star Wars movie Return of the Jedi, which had just come out 1 year earlier, where we saw this face, the evil emperor. The Berlin Wall and apartheid were increasingly in the news as well, so the images in the commercial quickly set up the good versus evil story all by themselves. And that's how they got a complete Cecil B. DeMille epic movie with complete setup, conflict, and resolution into a 60-second TV commercial. But you say, that doesn't apply to all TV commercials and advertising, does it? Let's look at a commercial that was vastly different. The classic Wendy's Where's the Beef? In full disclosure, my advertising partner, Ben Calarasi, was involved with the creation of that slogan and commercial. Now, while this commercial is based on humor and a very different style to the Apple ad, both are going through the very same steps. It opens up with 3 old, white-haired ladies standing in a nondescript fast food restaurant. The ladies are all ogling the size of the bun, but when they look inside the big deceptive bun, they find a comically small burger patty, leading to the famous question,
Hey, where's the beef?
We also see 3 older ladies, presumably retired, with only 1 hamburger. Perhaps they looked at the size of the bun and assumed they could split it 3 ways and save money. Regardless, there wasn't even enough meat for 1. What's the resolution to this conflict? Why, they take their business to Wendy's. So again, we have the setup, the conflict, and the resolution. A different kind of conflict. Now, in these 2 examples, both of the conflicts are depicted as man-made. In other words, we've got very evil people doing terrible things to average consumers. This isn't always the case in an ad. In fact, most conflict in advertising is created by the problem that the product is intended to solve. For example, in a detergent commercial, the dirt would be the conflict, and the soap would be the hero and resolution to the problem. And in some cases, we want to expand on that idea. For example, instead of it just being the dirt that's a problem, it's my kids are so hard on their clothes and get them so dirty. So the conflict isn't just the dirt, but also something we can relate to. Kids that make clothes dirty.
Performance. The luxury of the red carpet ride.
And in some ads, especially ads for luxury products, the conflict is simply ordinary life. You don't want to live an ordinary life, do you? Of course not. You are special and deserve a special fill in the blank with the product. A car, a mink, a home, whatever luxury product. Here's one of my pseudo-math equations. Life plus conflict, and what life doesn't have conflict, plus your product. Add that together, you get resolution. Almost universally, it's the product's unique selling proposition, or USP, that is going to determine the conflict in your ad and marketing. And again, this underscores why knowing and defining your USP is so important in all marketing work. Without story, you don't have conflict or resolution. And without resolution, your product can't be a hero. Consumers don't get a fire under their bottom to rush out and buy products that are not heroes. They don't want to buy something that's ordinary. They want to buy something that's beyond ordinary. They don't want to buy the picker-upper paper towel. They want to buy the quicker picker-upper paper towel, right? Work with the best team you can find. That team is going to help you define your brand and product story, and then use that story to sell more product.